Hello and welcome to my channel. This is the 19th story that I will be telling. As before, they're all 1,000 words long and based on 5 words randomly suggested by an online random text generator. The 5 words for this story are, and this one is called Agonía. Some tasks are quickly and readily achieved. Others take time, patience and cunning. Infiltrating a Mexican drugs cartel run by a ruthless tyrant whose men have murdered hundreds takes a degree of determination verging on the monomaniacal. Luis Martinez had that kind of focus. An ex-petty criminal turned confidential DEA informant, Luis evaded prison following his last bust. A truckload of cocaine he'd smuggled deep inside beef carcasses in a refrigerated truck, by coming up with a ludicrously clever plan to embed himself in the 2020's most powerful organised crime enterprise. As a cover story, it made good business sense for lone wolf operator Luis to offer his service to the Rodrigo Lopez cartel. Unfortunately, they would never accept a stranger like Luis without references. So, Luis concocted a plan to steal back a confiscated shipment of Lopez product from the high security police evidence facility in Albuquerque, then sell it back to Lopez with a suggestion that Lopez take credit for the heist. It was exactly the kind of audacious move that would appeal to the drug lord's ego. He saw himself as a latter-day Scarface, conveniently forgetting how that movie ended. It would all be staged, the police putting up minimal resistance, everyone firing blanks. Luis would take the shipment and a bullet to the shoulder, and Lopez would hire the brave young soldier who pulled off an incredible feat. Everything went according to plan, looking so convincing on CCTV footage leaked to local news channels that Lopez didn't suspect a thing. 3 days later, Luis' blindfold was removed, and he was pushed down into a chair in front of Lopez himself. His bandaged shoulder throbbed painfully. Lopez had had his incisors lengthened and filed to points to make himself look more ferocious. As Luis found himself being fastened to the chair with cable ties, he wondered if Lopez planned to use those incisors on his neck. "So," Lopez drawled lazily, "you stole my shipment back from the DEA, and now you want to sell it back to me? Are you out of your mind?" Luis winced as one of Lopez's men pushed down on his shoulder. "You'd have to write it off otherwise," said Luis. "There's 50 million in that haul." Lopez bent down for a closer look at Luis. "Unless the police marked it." Luis shook his head. "I checked." "And what do you want for my cocaine?" said Lopez, humouring him. 500,000, offered Luis. "I'm not greedy." Lopez laughed. "Senor Martinez, you confuse me," he began. "You have my product, you are largely unknown. I might never have found you. Why didn't you go to one of my competitors?" "Because you have eyes everywhere. I couldn't be sure you hadn't someone in the police, or even in my crew. You were the only one I could safely sell to." "And you feel safe now, do you? Tied to a chair, at an unknown address, alone?" Luis gave a faint chuckle. "You don't know where the drugs are. I do." Lopez stepped back as if sizing Luis up. But for what? "I applaud your entrepreneurship. We'll talk business in a little while. I have a small welcome treat for you, or rather, an initiation." Lopez drew a small packet from his pocket. It contained a half-dozen small blue pills. "I'm getting out of cocaine. The heat is too great. I have something far better. A designer miracle, they're calling it. On the street, its name is Agonía. You're going to road test it." What was this? Luis had heard of agony, a drug more rumoured than evidenced. It supposedly acted as a kind of polar opposite of MDMA, in that it caused every single pain-registering synapse in the brain to fire at once, for a split second. The equally sudden removal of this pain leaving the taker in a blissful state of release, and also very suggestible. In other words, it could be used as a truth drug, or so he'd heard. Luis had recently received a text message from a shady friend. It consisted of a photo of a man who had died of a heart attack taking Agonía for sexual gratification. The victim had been found purple-faced, dangling from his trouser belt, his feet partially eaten by his Doberman. The caption his friend had appended was, "Hang on in there, buddy." Lewis was gripped from behind, whilst one of Lopez's people forced open his mouth. Lewis knew better than to bite. He swallowed the pill and waited for the inevitable. It came at him like a wall made of fire, knives, and acid. Lewis' body spasmed. He went momentarily blind, the agony so intense that he lost all sense of time, space, or identity. He wasn't Lewis anymore. He was the locus of all the pain in the world. Then, just as suddenly, he felt nothing at all. Just an extraordinary floating sensation. Lewis realised he had a big, dumb smile plastered on his face. "Tell me, Mr. Martinez," said Lopez, crouching down to look into Lewis' wide, rolling eyes. "Who sent you? What do you really want?" Even in his paradisical haze, Lewis sensed that something was wrong. He should probably get out of this place. Rivers of adrenaline still flooded his system. The chair felt wobbly. Lewis chose his moment, using newfound strength to push off with the balls of his feet, launching himself from the chair into the air. He flew 3 feet and crashed down, wood splintering under him. Lewis yanked both hands free, stumbled to his feet, and pushed a shattered pointed chair leg under Lopez's chin before anyone could react. It all happened in a couple of seconds. Lopez waved his men's guns down. "Remarkable, Mr. Martinez. Now tell me what you want." Same question, different tone. Lewis, higher than the clouds but stronger than the noonday sun, whispered in his captor's ear, "I want in." After a moment, Lopez nodded, and a DEA legend's career was born. So I hope you enjoyed that. Channeling a smidgen of Breaking Bad in this story, I think. But once you've got the word cartel popping up as a suggestion, well, not as a suggestion, as an essential word choice, it pretty much writes itself after that. But the idea of the drug called Agony is something I have had floating around, waiting to be used. So this was a good chance to road test it. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please subscribe, as ever, share, tell people about it, write me a comment, let me know you're actually watching. Don't do it on Facebook or Twitter, do it on YouTube. That would be very much appreciated. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye.